we are going into dairy politics because Mr. Meriläinen, our next speaker, he used to be until this year, he was the president of the European Dairy Association, and having held many positions before that in Veijo, the leading Finnish dairy company, the producer of most of our butter, milk, cream and cheese. Mr. Meriläinen, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I will give you, as a field of food and industry, a benchmark from dairy. And dairy is very important in Europe and also for our country, Finland. And also that I have been the past president of the European Dairy Association. During 4 years I have learned a lot what it means to make dairy policy in Europe, and also how to build the future of the dairy industry at the European level. But at the same time having a business responsibility in the major Finnish dairy company at Veijo, leading to one of its nowadays 3 divisions, international activities and innovations. So I have had a lot of takeaways with me how to manage my everyday life also in our own company much more better. So I tried to describe how we think in dairy and how we act in dairy in European level, in Finnish level, and finally take some conclusions, what we have learned and how we are working at Veijo. And hopefully you'll get some takeaways with you to your everyday life. So to start with this general descriptions about our business environment, I don't need to repeat everything what is written here, but suddenly what we saw in the beginning of this century, we saw a change of the industry from supply market to demand market, and the very obvious reasons of the economical growth especially in the emerging countries. At the same time, we have seen liberalization of our common agricultural policy, meaning the implementation of the CAP reform. And I must say that we have been really successful in this, and also that we were lucky because the market was booming, and suddenly we were able to adapt these difficult measures, which meant basically that now the industry is working almost without any kind of subsidies, and all the subsidies coming from the union and from the national level, they are going directly to the farms. So decoupling was the mission. At the same time, we have been in discussion about the future of the global trade. WTO Doha round is still in progress, and hopefully they get to a conclusion at some point in the future. Climate change, energy policies have been in place. A lot of decision for our future has been made, and what are the consequences? Food safety has been emphasized during the past times a lot, but still there may be surprisingly food crisis to come. Nobody could imagine that somebody adds melamine into milk in its greediness to make more money. That is a very, very sad story and has long-term consequences. And suddenly we have this financial crisis. What are the consequences? So overall conclusion is that future of business environment outlook is unclear, but what is for sure here, market volatility is here. Suddenly, for example, in dairy we see at the moment the lowest prices in the past 20 years. Suddenly, in 2-3 months, the total picture has changed. What about the European dairy? On global level, we can say that emerging markets have been driving the change. This business is still very regional business because only the minority share of the production is traded globally, and EU has lost a lot in the global trade. And demand, like I said, has recently exceeded the supply, and we saw the price hike during the past months. In EU, dairy is one of the major industries representing about 15% of the total food and drink. This business is anyhow, it is regional and not national business mostly. And one important thing for all food industry is that we don't need to forget what is the role of the SMEs. Especially in dairy we see, in spite that there are a lot of big companies, but their share of the business is only 30% when you take the top 10 companies of the business. So please don't forget that everything should be taught also on the regional and national level. And one very interesting feature is that the cooperatives still have an important role because 50% of the business is run by the co-ops and they have totally different interests like the private-owned company. And dairy industry is regarded one of the most innovative in all food and drink industries. And I want to emphasize that dairy is not a general field of food industry in that sense that it has a lot of social relevance in EU and in Finland. Dairy industry is fundamental for quality of life in Europe. It contributes to health, responsible, safe nutrition for consumers, and also the economical importance of the rural development and also environmental sustainability. And for Finland, we have to remember that dairy represents almost 50% of the farm income, and also when looking to the different parts of the country, we can see the importance, especially in middle and north, east and north part of the country. What about the companies and their strategies? I have tried to summarize the general features what I can read in the annual statements. All the companies, especially the leading companies, they want to be dynamic, innovative, global players. They want to provide healthy nutrition, they want to be sustainable, and they want to be competitive. Very nice terms, and how to achieve those. And key challenges in building the dairy competitiveness, and here I can say that I have learned a lot during the past 6 months being a member of this high-level group working on the competitiveness of the agri-food sector. This high-level group was established in spring by the DG Enterprise, and we from Veijo we are very proud because our CEO, Mr. Laaksonen, is member of this high-level group, and I'm working with my colleagues in the Sherpa group, which is actually doing the real work and working out the documents and the vision for the agri-food industry in Europe for the future. This comes pretty much from that experience what I have had, so that the key issue when building the competitiveness in Europe, they come from the issues raw material. We need better regulation and simplification in the regulations. We need to improve the road to the market, and finally and not least, we have to be more competitive in terms of the innovations. So access to the raw material is key to run the industry and achieve the global position. In dairy, I don't need to repeat the real facts. You all know that it's impossible to transport fresh milk long distances because of the nature of the quality of the raw material. But what is important for us is that we must have local milk source, and in that sense the link to the agricultural policy is very important. And our wish for the future is that what we need in our policies on EU level and on national level, we need more clarity, we need more predictability, and especially the recent decisions or coming decisions regarding the CAP and especially the health check. they are the most important and relevant for our future to protect milk production in Finland, for example. The better regulation and simplification. We have noticed many times that flaws are identified, but the results are not satisfactory. We can take a lot of examples how time-consuming is to get through the regulation, especially this kind of standard industry like we present. Decision making is really slow. I can take one example. For our industry, it has been very important to get milk powder standardized. And can you imagine, to get this standardization regulations through, it took almost 10 years. Many identical examples. Then horizontal regulations concerning feed and hygiene, claims and labeling, they are the everyday life for us today. And then what will happen with the new regulations on animal welfare and quality labeling. And here I have a fish. Industry needs, instead of controlling, more consultative role from the authorities to be able to survive in this complex regulatory environment. And I will touch a little bit this area when talking about the innovations. Road to the market. Like said, dairy industry, and like many other food industries, they are regional or national, but still there are desires to get on the global scene, and like said, EU has lost a lot of its share during the past year. And the general opinion here is that pretty much of the industrial policy has been made too much on terms of the agricultural policies, and also a little bit on trade policies. And that is the reason why we certainly are looking for the future of the WTO Doha round, and especially the working environment, which gives also growth opportunities for the European agri-food sector. And here once again I would like to emphasize that we need also specific support mechanisms, especially for SMEs. They are more than welcome, and also that more attention should be paid to the technical barriers to trade. The road to the market, the other side of the coin, is access to the consumer. We all over Europe, and also in Finland, and especially in my own everyday life when doing business outside Finland, we have to remember that food industry many times has low negotiation power against the retailers. Certifications and standards are causing a lot of extra work. Trade terms and conditions are sometimes very critical, and like said, trade is using private label as a very, very influential tool against the industry suppliers. Last but not least, a few words about innovations. At the moment, agri-food industry, and especially dairy, is feeling very much that innovations are the key for improving the competitiveness in the future, and especially in creating the value addition. To produce commodities gives you something, but not the real business, because, like I told you, the volatility is the key for the future, and with that volatility, what we see in the future, it's important to build stable business. This is traditional and very well known in Finland, so that innovations are more and more linked to the health and well-being of the consumers, and more scientific evidence is needed for marketing. So EU needs to do a lot in this area, and also it has done a lot because we have this Food for Life program and also the 7th framework program. We in Finland and in Valio we have a very nice history when looking what we have done with the probiotics. You know, probiotics are the healthy dairy products we eat in the form of yogurts and shots and whatever they are today. I can say you that the Valio road to be successful in probiotics, it is now exactly 21 years old story. Not any easy story, but like said, after 20 years we can say that we have been able to make the business profitable. The future, when looking these innovations, we are really keen to see what happens with the claims, because they are really needed for the marketing of the consumers and to communicate these products to the audience. And like we all know that EFSA has just recently started its works, and we are learning a lot with the approvals of the claims. Some of the claims have already been approved, and also it's very interesting area of development for the future, how this everything is going to evolve, how authorities and industry and consumer organizations are able to work for the future. And once again, here I have a very strong concern how to see small and medium-sized companies are able to survive in this complex environment. But the reality here is, which also reflects to this ERA program, is that it seems in small countries like Finland very difficult among the food and industry to find common agenda in innovations. This means that the more dynamic companies, they have to break the box and go to international cooperation on the EU level and also to build the networks outside Finland. And then finally, a few words about Valio. You all are familiar with Valio. It's a company having the same name now for 103 years. And our vision for the future is that we want to build the Valio, the leading brand in its field in Finland and in the nearby countries. And the third challenge is that we want to be pioneer in health and well-being concepts worldwide. This gives a focus for the company, and this is the way how we are working and operating today. And where we are today on our way to Vision 2015, I can say you or share with you a few benchmarks. Today, new products less than 5 years old, they generate 30% of the group gross margin. Very strong focus in research and development. Nearby markets, they represent 18% of the group revenues and 60% of the international revenues at the moment. These innovative concepts, they bring 10% of the group revenues at the moment. And like you said, we started this everything 21 years ago, and now we can say that 10% we have achieved. But like said, the results are there in the first bullet point also. But last but not least, we are running a very profitable dairy company because our milk premium to the farmers is currently 12 euro cents per liter against the European average. If we had the European average milk price in this company, the net profit would be more than 200 million euros, representing a net profit of 10%. And last but not least, the decisions for the Valio's present position, they were built already 92 years ago. Because the rationale to begin the research and development by establishing a Valio's so-called research and development laboratory in 1916, the reasoning behind that was only such a country whose entire economy is based on science is able to reach and maintain the first place in the economic war between the nations. And this is reality in our company in daily life. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Veijo Meriläinen. Happy cows and happy milk drinkers in Finland. Now, I could take just one question, because if there is something, someone just can't hold it back, because we are having some question and answering time after the last speaker. But thank you very much again. Thank you.